Now that we got the flute from the previous palace, we can now access even more of the overworld. Before, if you had gone straight south of the town of Naburu, you would have ran into what is like an overworld enemy known as the River Devil, and this blocked your path, not allowing you to travel further south. But now that we have the flute or whistle, we can go up to the River Devil, play the instrument, and it will seemingly disappear, allowing you to cross. So I'm just going to head straight for the River Devil now. As you can see, it's at the southern part of the screen here. And on the way here, I'm running to a few side scenes, and there's this little floating enemy, and it's known as a boon. I don't think I fought any of these earlier in Chapter 5 or Chapter 4, but basically they float around, and you can use either the upward thrust or downward thrust to kill them, and they give you 50 experience points. But they really are not worth your time because I personally find them rather difficult to defeat. Anyway, I just used the flute, the River Devil disappeared, and now there's several scenes along this path. And there are a few red Lizalfos behind the fence, and they'll be tossing rocks at you. You can't really do much in the way of killing these things, just try to avoid the rocks. And there's also an orange Lizalfos that is on the ground area. Just defeat it, get by this area, and then continue along. This next scene has more red Lizalfos tossing rocks at you, but there's also a Zora. So use the fire spell and defeat the Zora. Shouldn't be too hard, I mean. But these rocks, sometimes, especially towards the end of each section, there tends to be numerous of these red Lizalfos tossing rocks at you, so it could be hard to avoid. Don't worry if you get hit a couple times, just try not to lose all your health here. There's another orange Lizalfos on the third of these scenes. There's only 3 of the scenes, thankfully. So just finally get by these and continue along to the east. There's a graveyard type area to the south. Don't mind those for now. Actually, we don't want to go there. Try to avoid that area at all costs. So just continue along. We want to head north into this swampy area. And there's these Gyro Bokus floating around. And you can kill them if you'd like. They each give you 20 experience points. Sometimes they could be a little dangerous. I know I fought a few of these in the previous chapter. But if you want to level up at this point, right now my leveling system is at 778, which is pretty good. That's exactly where you want to be at this point. Anyway, walk to this corner screen right there, and this is actually a specific scene. I didn't run into any enemies. I used the jump spell because I need to get to this higher ledge, and I actually killed the boon floating around here. And there is a hidden Link doll here, so pick it up, and now just exit either to the left or right. It's a good idea to kill the boon, because now that we have the jump spell, I personally find it a lot easier to kill the boon while you're jumping, pretty much. In this case, I don't have the jump spell, and that thing is just moving way too quick for me, so I'm just going to avoid the boon and enter this cave here to the north. This cave is filled with more of these Gyro Bokus, or Dignoggers, or Patra, whatever you want to refer to them. Like I said before in the previous chapter, they don't really have names. And I personally find they could be a little annoying because it seems, I don't think there's no real order as to when their eyes open. It's not like, say, like the ghosts in Super Mario World or something. When you're looking at them, they won't move, but when you turn away, it's not like that. It seems to be completely random. Continue along further into this cave, and we have another one of these scorpion-like enemies known as Aruradas, or just Sketler. And just defeat it. Remember, whenever its eye is open, you can use the downward thrust. And at the end of the cave, we have a point bag worth 500 experience points. That's a pretty hefty amount. As you can see, it's 6,000 up to the next upgrade. I'm at a 778 right now in terms of my 3 skills. 8 is the maximum you can get, so I only need 2 more. So the goal is to reach 6,000 by the time I get close to the end of the next palace, and then get the next upgrade automatically once I defeat the palace, and that'll bring me to the maximum 8, 8, and 8. And since there's only 2 more palaces, the Hidden Palace and then the Great Palace, that's exactly where we want to be. We want to be fully upgraded as we make our way to the Great Palace. Finally leave that like swampy area and head east. There's a few of these scenes. If you run into them, there's some orange Lizalfos. There's also some dealers like in the trees. You can defeat the dealers are really not worth defeating, but the Lizalfos on the other hand, they give you 150 experience points, sorry. And with the level 7 sword, they only take 2 hits to kill. So this adds up really if you just keep fighting them over and over. Enter the cave here, and there are numerous Tektites. So you want to use your fire spell. Remember, you can only kill them when using your fire spell. And don't quote me on this, but I believe that now that I have the level 7 sword, this actually increases our power even when using the fire spell. Because I remember these took 3 hits to kill before. Now they only take 2 hits to kill. Continue along to the next screen. There's another orange Lizalfos here. You can kill it, avoid it, do whatever you want. He can be rather difficult to defeat, especially when I'm like on top of him like this, because I'm having a hard time getting underneath him. But I finally killed him, and I'm really low on both my magic and my life, so I'm going to try to avoid some of the next enemies. Here's a red Lizalfos, and these guys are much more difficult than the orange ones, so just avoid it. This area here, there's a hidden town in the trees, and if you haven't noticed this already, I remember at the time when I first played this, I never knew you could do this. You can use your sword in the overworld to cut down trees, and do that, and you reveal a hidden town. And if you read the sign, it is known as the Hidden Town of Kasuto. And this is one of the towns that has nothing to do with the sages from Ocarina of Time, and it's really a mystery as to where this name came from. And you talk to a woman, she says, "We had to flee Kasuto. Later on we will visit Old Kasuto." So, talk to the old woman in purple here, and she'll let you in her house. And I like how when she talked to you, she was wearing purple, but now the girl on the inside is wearing red. It's a little odd, but she tells you there's a secret at the edge of town. But as you walk in and go downstairs, and instead of an old man waiting for you, there is the 8th and final heart container. I'm going to use my life spell because I'm just getting sick of hearing the beep 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 because I'm low on health. It's a really annoying sound, but we're going to be filling up our magic shortly anyway. You can head into some of the other buildings here. This one is completely empty. And here's the woman I was just referring to. She will fill your life and just continue along. There's actually several things we can do inside of this town. We already got the heart container, and we already got the magic container. If you enter this house, this is weird because there's like a special, it's like almost like a chimney. I suppose Link goes into the chimney, or maybe it's just a staircase that leads to the basement. And the old man here, it says, "Remember the magic word." And this spell is called Spell. I suppose did they run out of names? They just called the magic spell a spell. So most places you look online, it's known as the spell spell. Right. This man here, he actually gives you some advice. Call for help at the 3-Eye Rocks. That's a key in order to get into the next palace, the Hidden Palace. Finally, when we head all the way to the right, it seems like it's a dead end, but we can actually use the spell. And this creates a very massive building. I don't really understand why it needed to be that tall, but we enter it, and inside we have the magical key. And this basically, just like it did in the original Legend of Zelda, it does away with the idea of using individual keys. Now you basically have an unlimited supply of keys. So, especially when we're in the Hidden Palace, now there's no need to keep collecting keys over and over. Now, there's nothing else to do in town, so just make your way all the way back to the west and leave town. Be sure to fill up your health and your magic. And that'll do it for this section. Join me next time. We'll do a few more side quests and then make our way to the Hidden Palace.